Wilson Isidore. Oh! What has he done? What has he done?
Leeds are falling apart again.
And welcome back to the What the Falk podcast after one of the most surreal, hilarious nights many of us have ever seen at the Stadium of Light. I've just not long woken up after finally getting in at 3 a.m. and all I really want to do is speak about Sunderland. Thankfully, even though my voice is gone, some of you will want to listen and Pete wants to talk with us. It's just me and Pete, but funny, Pete, wasn't it? Good night. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. See, you've just getting up out your pit. I've been grafting all morning. I had no sleep for me. But what a way to end a night. We'll get on to exactly what the performance was like, but dear me, you don't get many of them. And I think one of the ways that it's been reacted to, where people have gone, that's the type of thing that happens when luck's on your side. I wish I could remember who I saw say it on Twitter, but they said Sunderland has the mandate of heaven. And it does feel when that type of thing goes for you, that point could prove important come May, couldn't it?
I mean, I just keep repeating, I'll be honest, I've not really had time to fully process it. I tried to process it in the car last night. Like, we didn't win, but the ridiculousness of how the draw came about and the commentaries just replaying over in my head because I've watched it so many times. All my head's doing is going, oh, what has he done? What has he done? So I don't really know where to start, to be honest. I've tried to type up some questions and I can't. So let's just go with what we've got. How are you feeling? Because it's like, we didn't win. We'll get on to the performance, but like there were some of the most surreal scenes I've seen in moons, to be honest. I haven't seen scenes like that since maybe Chopra against Spurs, Carlos Edwards against Burnley. I might be missing some, but it feels like a while.
I wish, yeah, you're completely right with those ones. The one that actually comes to mind for me, and it's not a player that I think would get anywhere near a Sunderland team at the moment, but it was Maguire back in League One, and he spanks one in. I don't know if it was a winner or an equaliser, but the reason it comes to mind is because one of my neighbours in the old flat I lived in actually checked on us to see if we were okay because I shouted when it went in. And he came up to see if something terrible had happened because all he heard was me screaming and going, yes, get in, you bastard, get in. But yeah, look, it's the type of point that ends up feeling like a victory because they weren't getting anything. It's really changed the whole mood for the weekend around, hasn't it? I know we spoke just a couple of weeks ago about how it's probably not the best thing health-wise that Sunderland Association Football Club influences our mood so greatly, but it does. So here we are talking about it. And yeah, absolutely elated. Got loads on me plate, but I'm just like, come on, bring it on. Give us more. I'm happy today. Give us more stuff. So I mean, look, those scenes at the end where the lads run over to the fans and Luke O'Nien from the top row, Monsoon, ring the bell. No, sorry, we're not going to do a rest cast. We're not. I'm trying to project myself as a proper respectable adult, but I still do love a little bit of it. Yeah. Oh, look, that's class, man. Them jumping into the fans at the end there. Look, the post-match interview from Riggy and Alan Brown is one of the best post-match interviews I've seen in a while. Like Alan Brown's deadpan cork delivery of just Alan, talk us through your goal.
what he chucked it in to fair play.
Put in a net, like, and it's a great assist from the goalkeeper. But
like
Yeah,
taking the piss
found
live
me
on
so
TV.
But no, it's look, it's one of those nights that everybody will remember. It's up there with beach balls. It's up there with nonsense that comes with being a Sunderland fan. And long may it continue, because this type of nonsense is fun, isn't it? I mean, I have to confess two things. One, I thought I jinxed us by being John the Baptist again, because I told a bunch of lads that if you've got Nout on tonight, don't worry. What you need to do is you need to watch. It's on Sky in the UK and Ireland. Watch Sunderland versus Leeds. Oh, they're great. They're fantastic. You know, some of these players, they're going to go big places, hopefully with Sunderland. And then, of course, there was periods where it wasn't wonderful. And I was like, I'm just learn your lesson, Peter. Never recommend watching Sunderland to anybody. The other thing I have to confess is I went for a wee and missed 2 goals, the Leeds second one, and Alan Brown's, what do you call it? 40-yard screen. Yeah.
It's a class goal. And I mean that seriously. It was a class goal. It's odd you talk about like mood shifting and stuff like that. I mean, I don't drive, and I wasn't driving, so Ashley was driving. And I think it hit about like 12:30, and we're kind of like maybe considering approaching Gretna. And I went, "Hey, all right." And she goes, "Yeah, I've had like an extra boost from that goal. I'm not going to lie. There was a point when like I thought we were going to lose, and I was like, oh God, there's a 3.5 hour drive home here." And it's like that stupid goal just gives you that extra boost. But it was like the scenes were really brilliant. And I mean, I've been involved in quite a few with Sunderland, especially at the Stadium of Light, but it was how it happened. I mean, a late goal would always get you a big celebration, but I had no idea what happened for the best part of about 10 minutes until I got outside and got signal again and was like, has he just flung it in? And then like I managed to get signal, so I went on the Twitter page just to laugh at Leeds, to be honest. And like I had like 26 notifications or something, and almost every one of them were going, your lad on the preview show said this would happen. And I've listened back this morning in the 10 minutes I've been up. And Scott, I'm so sorry to mention it, I might even put this in the podcast after this. There's a point when he goes, well, just Meslier throws points away. You know, he'd probably just throw it in the back of the net or something to that effect. And I don't think I've ever had a preview guest nail it so much. And I got my second prediction right in a row. So everything's coming up a little bit Millhouse, but the fact that a preview guest from the opposite side predicted Meslier would probably throw it in the back of the net, and then he does. But look, that's the headline moment. A bit of, I mean, Twitter's not a great barometer for anything most of the time, but like you do read it. Some people are like not too happy with the performance in comparison to most games this season. Me personally, I'm like, we're top of the league. I think Leeds are going to be up there as well, probably a give or take around us. But I thought we were well worthy of a point. Do you agree with that?
Right. I think we were worthy of a point. I think I am guilty of falling into that camp that you spoke about there, because usually what happens is when I managed to make it home last night to Berlin to watch the match, and I usually get on the phone with my dad before a match, talk through the team, halftime, what do you reckon, full time, wrap it up. And he usually sees a very different game than I do. There were points where I wasn't very happy, but exactly what you've said, man. I'm then realising the top of the league and the playing Leeds. And this is probably one of the better teams that Sunderland will face at the Stadium of Light. That I
think the best we faced so far, if we're honest.
Certainly the best they've played so far, but one of the better ones that will play. And I think they set up in a way that was that countered us in many ways. And there was points whereby I think we were exposed. I mean, look, but when you asked us, do I think they were worthy of a point? Absolutely, because of a couple of refereeing decisions. I can base it on that. You know, there was that goal. When you have a Premier League refereeing in the Championship, all they wait for is the VAR decision. Yeah. Look, it's tight, but it's off.
Oh, it's off.
If it's tight, it's off. Then there's the thing on Mundell at the end of the first half. Now, on the
and a handball in the lead up to the actual goal.
Oh, sorry, I beg your pardon.
It's not a foul and a handball. Like I was wondering at the time, because I couldn't get signal, is this a Premier League ref? And I kind of almost didn't need to be like, Yeah, it is, because the decisions he was making was like he was waiting on a VAR. And I mean, the Pirlo goal, look, ultimately it doesn't really, well, it does matter, I suppose, but like spilt milk. But Pirlo's goal at the time, the lad next to me, who I've sat next to for years, Paul, went, he's got to be offside there. He was just on his own. And I was like, surely it is. And then some people who were getting signal went, yeah, he's offside. And then someone went, oh, it's tight. And I watched it. And the only way I can describe it, it's tight without any level of debate that it was offside.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it is. It's tight. It's, it's a lovely finish from the lad, even though it's against Sunderland. You've got to say that. It's a great header. But he's offside. That's the rules of the game. And I think this is one. Look, are we really going down this route where we're going to talk about referees and VAR? I think I'm taking us there a little bit. I'll keep it short. Should Premier League referees be allowed to referee matches where there is no VAR? No, absolutely not, in my opinion, because it's a different game. It's one of the reasons why I don't really like VAR. One of the reasons football is wonderful is that it's supposed to be at the highest level, played by the best people. It's the same rules that's played at the lowest level by cloggers like myself. Whereas, if I turn out for SK Schulzendorf here in Brandenburg, we're not waiting for a VAR decision before we celebrate. And it should be the same type all the way through the pyramid, because that's what makes football lovely. It's not what it is, so we have to get on with it. But anyway, I'll keep me bitch and moan session on the ref down to just a little bit, because I do think I agree with, and I think it was Brad that said it in our group chat, that we have the worst standard of refereeing in Europe. I agree. I think it's terrible throughout all of the leagues in England. It's pretty bad. The tackle on Mundell, it's a penalty. Yeah. Shane catches him, goes down. Mundell's allowed to make as much of that as he wants. I don't think he makes overly too much, but he does drop like a house of cards, but he's allowed to because he's kicked in the shin. And then again, Mundell gets the ball in the corner. They take a free kick, which is defended appallingly by Sunderland.
Yeah,
there is a moment where their lad, I think it even might be Junior, who scores it. There's 4 Sunderland players around him, just outside of the centre circle. There's 4, and any one of them could have tackled him. Any one of them should have tackled him. He should not have been able to get into that position. You can say maybe they took the free kick quickly and caught them off guard, but that shouldn't be happening. Be happening. It's basics. But yeah, so you asked us a question, do I think they're worthy of a point? And we got here in the end. Yes, a point, very fair result. Based on how we got there, absolutely class result.
I think sometimes you can score a goal that late, no matter how you score it, and it clouds the entire performance. But I looked at the stats and the level, and for me, at the time, I contextualized it a bit, and I know people won't necessarily agree because they'll say, well, did this X, Y, and Z. We did drop off. The players said they dropped off. Reggie Lebris even kind of said he made mistakes last night and stuff like that. And I think at the time, when it was 2-1 and it was about the 94th minute, I said to the lads behind us, I went, look, I think we're just knackered. I know Leeds have played the same amount of games, but I don't know. They look tired because the passing's a bit sloppy. Certain things have not been as good or as sharp as they usually would be, i.e. we've conceded goals, which previously we probably wouldn't have in terms of the second one, which you've just touched on. But I felt like, there's Bellingham had a few chances. There's a few times Roberts absolutely tore the arse out of them and set it up for Job to maybe have a chance. And, in another day, Job could have had 2 or 3. I think we were well worthy of a point against the side that I think are going to be right up there. And should be right up there with parachute payments and everything that comes with it. And I think we more than held our own, considering, that was our 3rd game in 6 days. I know people say Leeds did the same.
Midfield is about 7 as an average age.
On that, I don't know how many people noticed it, but there was a massive big Chris Rigg flag in the middle of the walk around last night, which looked absolutely class. We didn't obviously touch on the light show outside of Twitter. I know some people didn't like it. I thought it was absolutely class. I think it looks mint. I love it. It gets me going for the game. People will disagree, but I think if you could just put the Chris Rigg rave song that I made the other day via AI on top of it, that's the only thing that could make it better. Really worked for me.
You need to be kept away from AI.
AI.
I played that I opened just to let you in a little behind
Chrissy
the scenes.
Rigole, ole, ole.
Graham sent this to our WhatsApp group chat, and I opened it in a supermarket in Germany. And started playing Chris Rigg, ole, ole, ole. I'm glad I didn't open the Lee Howie one. I knew what was coming when it was that by that point. But look, again, I have to see these things secondhand because I'm in Germany, but wouldn't have been top of my list of things that Sunderland needed to do was have a light show before the game, but I think it looks great. I think it works really well. More importantly, perhaps, that is something they can show promoters for the big gigs, the big touring concerts. So next time Taylor Swift is on tour, they get to pitch that to her touring company and say, look at what we can put on. Look at what we've done with previous events. And now look at what we can offer you as well. And, you know, it might sound daft, but in my day job, sometimes I'm an economics journalist and a business journalist. There is a genuine Taylor Swift effect. It's not just Taylor, but, you know, she's the biggest name to say it, on local economies if you hold those type of concerts. So you look at Gelsenkirchen, which some of the England fans who travel to the Euros would have been familiar with. Not the prettiest place in Germany. There was a feeling amongst Germans
Industrial.
that the reason they put England versus Serbia in Gelsenkirchen was that if it all kicked off and they smashed the place up, nobody would notice. But Gelsenkirchen
hosted... Oh, someone's already done it.
Somebody already got here first. Economic downturn, a big problem with productivity. Anyway, Gelsenkirchen had a huge economic boost because of hosting a Taylor Swift concert this year.
Edinburgh the same.
Did wonders for the economy locally. So that's one of the reasons I think if the light show looks like it does and it works like it does, I'm very happy for that to be there. Love the idea of the Chris Rigg flag. Love.
Oh, it looked class. It was his goal against Borough, and he's like his fists in the air, and he kind of came out, and the lights were on and off, so I couldn't quite see if he was looking, but it looked like he was looking, and he must feel. I mean, Jesus. Like, that must feel amazing. And I like the fact that there's like a Dan Neil flag in there, Luke 9 flag. But I think there's a few people that were a bit iffy on the light show during the week. And look, that's completely up to that person. I'm not going to debate. I'm not going to say it's on your opinion's wrong. But my thought process on it is they're the same lights and the same effect that Boca Juniors have. And when was the last time someone went, oh, Boca Juniors have a shite atmosphere, it's manufactured? I think it looks great. But before we get on to fucking economics podcast, Jesus, which we probably were on the verge of doing that there for a minute. Which players impressed you most, Pete?
Which player impressed me most?
Economically, which ones impressed you the most?
About the football. Dennis Serkin, I like to see.
Yes.
I like Dennis Serkin at any times. He can do no wrong, really, in my eyes, mostly.
I thought he was last night.
I thought Luke 9 had a pretty decent game again, but not, 2 goals conceded. Can you pick out a centre half? I thought Chris Rigg was great to start off with. I thought Job's display range of passing that he had worked really well at times. He allowed us to change direction, but I'll praise the lads when they need praising and they need digging out when they need digging out. That second goal, there's 4 of them in the middle there that don't get anywhere near him. Without getting a goal, I thought Wilson Isidore put himself in the positions he needed to. It makes a big difference having him there. I'm not saying that Mayenda would have done any worse, but he wasn't on the field. So, let's see what Mayenda's like when he comes back, because Isidore's not going to play every game. But I think it makes a big difference. And also, if you watch Alan Brown's Thunder Bastard Wonder Strike foot leg attraction engine goal, he's actually, there is a chance for me to be extremely red and white glasses on here. That ball's going straight to Wilson, if the defender doesn't get a head on it and deflect it. Mind, it's a beautiful bit of leg spin. Pitch is just outside of leg. Oh, plenty of turn there. Down him, got him.
I thought Wilson had scored it at first, and I don't know if anyone's seen it. I'm guessing they have, because Wilson like runs away, and it's opposite end to me because I'm southwest corner. And when it goes in, I thought like Wilson might have like either nudged it in or nudged the keeper. Because I seen Meslier, like if you watch Meslier after the goal, he kind of does this thing where he's looking for the ground to like just swallow him. And I'm like, oh mate, nothing's happened. You've just dropped it. But from watching it, it looked like
Alan
Wilson
Brown
might have nudged him.
right in the foot marks. That's what he did.
It was just funny, wasn't it? Like I've watched it
Yeah.
so many times. It might as well have been a 30-yard screamer, but when I was watching it from a distance, I couldn't quite see what had happened. I'd just seen one end go nuts and all the players actually have a pylon. But if you watch Wilson in the replay, that the brilliant video that Sunderland put up, he runs in to grab the ball as if we're going to get the ball, put it back in the pit, like in the centre circle and try and get a goal. Then realizes like, we're not doing that. And then like starts running over to the fans with the ball, sort of looks about a bit and realizes that he's going to want to pile in, but he can't take the ball with him, and just launches it into into Rosette, like circling, trying to do a little bit of a stage dive, a crowd surf or nine. We've all seen what a nine does.
Great leap on the lad.
I mean,
fantastic leap. Gets right up there.
Why he's got a centre half, isn't it? I don't know whether I want to come on to this or not, because I asked for listeners' questions, and this was the predominant one in various different ways. And you went out the game and you watched it. So, like, at the same time, it maybe would be better if I had Brad or something on. But it's
I
an
know a
interesting
question
take.
you're going to ask. I've got an answer.
I know. Fans leaving early. My personal opinion, I have 3 different opinions on this. Go when you want. It's up to you. Like, if we score, then that's your fault. And you miss out, and that's your consequence. So I'm not going to bat you on a podcast. I don't know people's personal circumstances. Do what you want. From a personal perspective, I think I've left the game early 3 times. Bolton away, didn't miss anything. Borough at home last season, when the third one went in, I was like, look, we've got a long drive back. That was my personal circumstance, and I decided to leave. And Man United at home, Boxing Day 2008, because I had to get a train and we were 3-0 down, and I got sick and tired of seeing Ronaldo absolutely torture us in his pomp. It's the only times I've really left early. And I wouldn't leave early because I know there's always a chance of that happening, or from an England game, Jude Bellingham scoring an overhead kick against Slovakia, that kind of stuff. So I don't personally understand leaving early. I find it wild. You've paid your money, stay at the end, you've missed the best bit. What I would say, I don't think it's a Sunderland problem. In my job, you've done it yourself, cover many teams that have absolutely nothing to do with Sunderland. It's a problem in the UK where a lot of people get up and leave on 80 minutes to make the subway. A lot of people leave. I've seen it at Rangers. I've seen it at Celtic, who I'm not going to criticise either fan base because they're 2 of the biggest clubs in the world. I've seen it at Kilmarnock. I've seen it at St Mirren. Fans leave early. I personally don't understand it. I think it's wild. I think it's absolutely mad that so many do leave. Was I despondent that so many left at the stadium like yesterday? So many, like a lot of people stayed, and they were brilliant, the ones that stayed. I thought the fans were fantastic, that were there for the full 96, 97 minutes. I thought they were brilliant, and I think that should be the focus. But a lot of people did ask, and I felt bad totally missing out the question about fans leaving early. Does it frustrate you? I've kind of given my opinion, but what's your thoughts on it, Pete?
I'm not going to dig out anybody. I'm not going to give out to anybody who is making that effort to get to a Sunderland game from wherever they've got to travel to. Now, I get the luxury of having an excuse that, I mean, I was in Brussels yesterday. I managed to get myself back to Berlin in time to watch the match. You know, while I was doing that, I was thinking, could I have a look and see if there was a flight at the northeast and get myself down there? But I didn't do that. You know, so look, I don't get to go every week. So when I do get to go, it's a big treat for me. So there's absolutely never a chance that I would leave. I don't begrudge anybody who's paid their money for their ticket to do whatever they want with their ticket. I would like for people to stay. I love being able to, I mean, I know I've said already, I've got to stop doing it, but I do love introducing people to Sunderland Association Football Club and saying, look, come and watch this team play. For once, the team's actually playing really well, and listen to the fans. And my missus, who's got no interest in football whatsoever, loves Wise Men Say when it's sang there. It was the big, even though she was at Coventry last season at home, it was the big thing for her being in the crowd for that being sang on. I would prefer if people didn't leave, but everybody's circumstances means they've got to be able to do whatever they want. We can't say, oh, you're not a real fan, like if you leave after 75, 80 minutes. I personally don't like to. I remember going. Now, this is pre-Stadium of Light. I was in the clock stand. I didn't have a season ticket, so it was probably 95, 96 season. It might have been 94, 95. And I was taken by a mate's dad, and his dad just always left early to get a bit of traffic. And I'd never left the football stadium early. And I said, but the game's still going on. What are we? But anyway, so everybody does what everybody does. I mean, the only other team I go to see on the regular these days is Union Berlin, and you'd be lynched if you tried to leave.
I'm a Hertha man.
The Am der Alten Forestei is so difficult to get a ticket for these days that if somebody was to think, oh, well, I've seen enough now, like that, yeah, you'd be in bother.
It's not a Sunderland problem, I think. In the UK, like I say, it's funny that, because I agree with that, because I've been to a few Hertha games and stuff like that, and they don't. Like, I've seen Hertha draw 0-0 3 or 4 times, and then one
they
game.
Also, what's an interesting one, they also, if they get beat, the last game I was at was Dortmund last season at Union, and they got beat 2-0, and the club captain leads the team over to where the ultras stand behind the goal, and they basically have to apologise, which I think's a bit much, but they have to stand there.
Sorry.
It's like, I'm really, I know you've been on the drink solid for the last 12 hours, and I've just been, running against some of the best players in Europe, but I'm here to apologize. Yes, I suppose my mother is, but please leave her out of this.
Imagine Meslier having to do that last night and walk all the way up the steps and be like, sorry, lads.
Oh, no, he just went and snuggled with Reggie.
Which the Leeds fans have lost it with. But to tell you what, I can understand it, because Reggie Reggie's kind of given him a career.
It was the other way. Look, I think to wrap up very quickly on the leaving the stadium thing, people can do whatever they want with their ticket they've bought, and it's their right to do it. I love the Stadium of Light when it's full and when they're in full voice and when they're cracking and rocking. It's just no better place to watch football, man. And long may it continue, because Sunderland are top of the league.
Yeah, I can't really echo anything more than that. You've pretty much sort of said what I really think. I think, look, it's not a Sunderland problem. I'm not going to name the clubs, but there's one particular club that when it gets to 75 minutes, it's like a fire alarm's gone off because about 20,000 leave and it just looks shite. I'm not going to name the club, but like this club's far worse than Sunderland at it. If it was me, stay at the end, because you get to see Meslier chuck the ball in the back of the net, and it's well funny.
Alan Brown's 40-yard wonder strike, 60. I'm just going to keep increasing how many yards.
80, I think. I've tried to write down questions here, and like, because I got home late and because I'm not hung up, it's difficult. So I've kind of gone listener question based a bit. One really good question is, we're top of the league with 2 points clear at the top, which is a lovely place to be after 8 games. And we've played, there's a few people saying, like, can we play like this way the whole season defensively? We've played Borough, Burnley and Leeds at home, like back to back outside it. No, sorry, Derby in there. It's not the prettiest on the eye, but how many points we dropped? 2. So I'll take that. I'm happy with it. I think Reggie's excellent what he does. And I think his ability to say, I've made a mistake, like he did last night, and fix it, I think is his biggest credit. And I think he will, as the season evolves. We're going to drop points as the season evolves. That's going to happen. Whether we win the league with 105 points like we did when we had Quinn and Phillips, we will drop points. That's what happens in a football season. At the minute, we're top of the league, in a league that has some good teams in it that we've already faced and beaten or got points from. I don't think there's too much to worry about at the moment. And I also think that's our 3rd game in 6 days. But I then also got a little bit excited and thought, oh, top of the league. and looked at our sort of games after the international break, and someone has asked, how many points do you think we can get after the international break? And just in case you weren't fully aware, or people listening aren't fully aware, after the international break, we've got Hull away, Luton away, Oxford at home, QPR away, Preston away. So a lot of away games, but against a lot of teams that are struggling. Look, I don't look too far in the future, and anyone can beat anyone in the Championship, and you can get beat 4-1 off the bottom team and beat the top team 4-1 the next week. But you've got to fancy us to kind of keep the runner form going a bit with those games.
Looking at that, how was the question? How many points I think they'll get?
And then, should we say the next 5? How many points from the next 5?
So 15. 15. Mm-hmm. I look, being a
We've
bit...
got that ability.
Yeah. But if they took 12, I'd be happy. If they took, if they took 9... not so much, because of the opposition they're facing and the standard. Again, a lot of this seems to come back every week to the standards that have been set already. They've already laid down a marker of what they can do. And, just to pull you up on something you said, sometimes it's not pretty on the eye. That first goal, the build-up play to that first goal, I'm shouting at the telly, and I say I'm talking to my wife, Cheyenne. Really, that's just me talking to the telly, because she just answers when the football's on. Oh, really? Yes, I agree. But it deserves a goal. The build-up play, it was lovely, it's brilliant.
Oh, it was gorgeous.
And the way that Sunderland can score these team goals. Now, we saw them score some of these type of team goals under Mowbray. They did get some lovely the linking up all of the passes together, but this seems different, and it does sound so daft when you're saying something like they get the ball into that 6-yard box and there is somebody there, because that was never happening. So I do think yes, it's defensive. No, Sunderland don't like to have possession in the way Lebuys has them set up, but when they do have possession, they do a lot with it. And I think that's a massive credit to them. I would love to think, so what we're looking at there, we're looking at Hull and then Luton away after the international break.
The tough
what
games,
Sunderland's like with a hoodoo. Be great if they could, smash that and get 4 points from that. You've then got Oxford at home, you win that. You've got QPR away, you have to win that. You've got Preston away, you have to win that. Although I'm a massive Preston fan. I mean, I'm about to date the podcast, so I won't do that. I think they've got to beat Preston away as well. But again, as you've said, this is the Championship. It's one of the most unpredictable leagues. It's one of the reasons why it's one of the most fun leagues in Europe to watch, is that anybody can beat everybody, and they invariably do. So, look, just simple question again, and I've gone right off on the waffle here. How many points do I think Sunderland will get? I think they can get 15. I think they will come away with 12.
I'm going to go 10. I think there'll be a stupid defeat somewhere. Like Watford was a stupid defeat. I don't think Plymouth was.
Absolutely battered by Oxford at home.
Aye, just something really daft. I've got one more question before we sort of wrap up. And I hope everyone's enjoyed this, because there's been a bit scattergun, but we've tried our best. We're just excited. We are top of the league on 19 points, won 6, drew 1, lost 2. Behind us, you've got Burnley in second, you've got Leeds in third, Sheffield in fourth, West Brom in fifth, Blackburn in sixth, and then you've got Borough in seventh. So we've played 2 of the top 3. We've played the team in the top 7 and took 7 points from that. The league is a long, old season. Before the campaign started, we did the preview show and we said, what would be success? And we said, something around the playoffs. And then we started really well and we went, this could be a nice playoff push. There's loads of games to go. But as it currently stands, do Sunderland have a chance of automatics? We've played the teams around us and not been beaten by them.
Yes, absolutely. Sunderland have a chance at automatics. I think if I'm going to be sensible for a little bit, I think they do have a chance at automatics. it's a very long way to go yet. I think it was Barker who said just before the match yesterday, he said this is basically just the warm-up at the moment.
Oh, Daniel Falk. I
Yeah.
love his accent. I cannot do it, but like he's so
I'm not going to
sad.
make fun of anybody's accent speaking another language. Mine's horrific in every one I do. I've got to speak Chinese later. It's going to be fun. Anyway, can they do it? Yes. Do I think they'll do it? Yes. Yes, I do. I really think this Sunderland team, when they are playing like they did in the build up to that first goal, and not the moments where they switch off for 10, 15 minutes in a game, which does seem to happen and does worry me. But the fact that Lebris sees that, and, after a 1-1, the last minute thunder bastard screamer, you would expect his post-match press conference wouldn't be all about, I've seen the problems. I know what I've got to work on, what I've got to address. But he is that uber nerd of the football world. And that's probably what Sunderland needed, more than somebody who's going to, shout and scream or go, just do it like this. Well, I can't do it like that because you won the Champions League and I'm playing at Sunderland. It's these type of things. I think he sees what needs doing. I've got faith in him to sort these things out. And yeah, look, bit of luck and fair wind. Come back to me at Christmas and see what I say then. But at the moment, I don't see why Sunderland can't be entertaining the thought of being in the top two. I think they're very well worth their spot up there. I've seen a few comments from fans who've played saying, you've only had 3 chances. Like, but they scored 2 goals against you. And that's, if you're taking the chances, that's you're gonna win the matches, and that's what they've done so far. Apart from the ones that haven't, but the less said about them, the better.
2 in 8, 9. Well, I'll take it. I think I agree. Long way to go, but if we keep playing like we're playing, there's no reason, as I said at the start of the season, to fear anyone. But look, that's kind of all for this week. Thanks very fucking much, Illan Meslier, for being an absolute tatey.
I love him. Mind, can I say one thing in his defence? The lad took a massive smack to the head earlier in the game. It's a big old knee to the head from his defender after Wilson helps the defender onto him. It's a push. He pushes him and his defender knees him in the side of the head. So perhaps that unsighted him for the lovely... was it a deucerer? Was it a wrong-un? Was it a flipper? I'm not quite sure. Anyway, the late, great Shane Warne would have been proud of that bit of leg spin. Happy days, man.
You'll take it. Great, Pete. Thanks very much.
Me bother.